In my last life, my wife, a SWAT officer, chose to save someone else when the kidnappers gave her an ultimatum. She did it to avoid the appearance of nepotism. But our 1-year-old daughter wouldn't stop crying for her daddy.
And I,
Desperate, used that fact to force my wife's hand to make her choose me. The negotiation failed. The man she chose, the man she'd always loved with, executed by the kidnappers, tortured to death. My wife fell into a deep depression for 3 years. And for 3 years she hated me. Then, on our daughter's 4th birthday, she suddenly broke from her usual cold indifference. She came home with a cake. I thought she was finally ready to let go of the past. I never imagined the cake was laced with poison. As I coughed up blood, I stared at her in disbelief, asking her why her smile was a twisted, ugly thing. It's because of you. Because of you, Flynn died. If I could do it all over again, I would never have saved you. In the end, she tortured me and our daughter to death. But then the unthinkable happened. I was reborn. This time, I chose to let go. I chose to face death with open arms. But after I died, my wife, she regretted everything.
Cassidy.
Make the call. Who are you choosing? The familiar voice roared in my ears. My eyes snapped open, and the horrifying reality hit me. I was back. I had truly been reborn. Here I was, on the edge of a skyscraper rooftop, tied up next to Flynn Pierce, the man my wife Cassidy had always loved. 18 stories of empty air yawned beneath us, and a single fraying rope was all that kept each of us from the abyss. Down on the street.
Wait.
Cassidy hesitated, her face pale, a sheen of sweat on her forehead. The kidnapper's voice crackled through a bullhorn, impatient. You're SWAT's legendary, Cassidy Holt, famous for your lightning-fast decisions. Quit stalling. We don't have all day to play your little games. My voice was a raw croak.
Cassidy.
If they take me, they'll kill me. I knew how this ended. I knew the negotiations would fail, and I would die. But the image of my daughter, Sunny, not even 2 years old, flashed in my mind. I had to try. Beside me, Flynn was a sobbing wreck.
Cass, I'm scared.
He wailed. I'm so damn scared. Please save me. I don't want to die. Cassidy's hand tightened into a fist. She raised her own bullhorn, her voice finally steady, stripped of all doubt. Release Flynn Pierce. Choosing Flynn, even knowing it was coming. Even in this second life, a sharp, brutal pain lanced through my chest, as if a hand had reached inside and squeezed my heart. But this time I accepted it. After all, even if I had returned to her side, death was waiting for me. Anyway, better to end it now than to repeat the gruesome tragedy of my last life. Cassidy's voice came again, this time directed at me.
Cole.
I'm sorry, but you're a cop's husband. They won't really kill you. Flynn, he's not strong like you. His heart is weak. He can't take this. Just hang on. I promise I'll come back for you. I closed my eyes, a wave of despair washing over me. The kidnapper let out a booming laugh. Well, Cassidy, looks like you still love your old flame more.
Fine.
I'll grant your wish. With a single swift motion, he sliced through the rope holding Flynn. Flynn dropped like a stone, landing squarely on the inflatable cushion the police had set up below. He tumbled right into Cassidy's waiting arms and promptly passed out. And me? Kidnappers dragged me onto a helicopter, and we disappeared into the city skyline. They took me to an old, abandoned warehouse that reeked of mold and decay. When I came to, they were all gathered around me, their faces twisted into ugly sneers. The leader stepped forward. Boys, that bitch Cassidy Holt has been a thorn in our side for years. Night we finally get our revenge. My blood ran cold. This wasn't how it happened last time. In my previous life, there was a second round of negotiations. Why was this happening now? Don't come near me, I pleaded, my voice shaking. Please, I'm begging you. My wife. She'll come back for me? She'll give you whatever you want. Money, anything. Please don't hurt me. I have a daughter. She's waiting for me to come home. My words only seemed to amuse them. Smiles turned predatory.
Oh.
Listen to that. He's a daddy. This is gonna be fun. I love it when they fight back. Knowing they can't escape, they started tearing at my clothes. I tried to resist, but a vicious backhand sent me to the ground, my nose and mouth exploding with the poppery taste of blood. No matter how much I begged, there was no escape. They tied me to the floor, helpless, like a fish on a cutting board. Then they brought out their tools. Tears of humiliation streamed from my eyes, as they beat me over and over again.
I'm sorry, Sunny.
I whispered into the darkness. Daddy's not coming home. Daddy broke his promise. Seeing my despair only seemed to fuel their cruelty. Finally, they grew tired. The leader draped a white cloth over my head, And, with a single final blow from a hammer, he ended my life. The pain was gone. My soul felt weightless, drifting upwards. Then, as pulled by an invisible string, I found myself floating beside Cassidy. She was at the hospital, sitting by Flynn's bedside. After a while, he began to stir. Waking with a startled gasp, he scrambled into her arms, whimpering like a frightened child. "No, please don't hit me anymore. I'll be good," Cassidy soothed him, her voice soft and gentle, until he finally calmed down. On the television in the room, a news channel was replaying the events from the rooftop. The public response was overwhelming. Comments flooded the screen. "I can't believe Officer Holt was so professional. She didn't give her own family special treatment. I heard they just got married and have a daughter. To risk her own family to save a civilian. She's a true hero." Watching the screen, Cassidy finally seemed to remember me. She stood up and poured Flynn a glass of water. "Flynn, I'm so glad you're awake. I'm going to head back to the scene. If I can find any more clues to get Cole back. You take care of yourself while I'm gone.
Call me if you need anything."
She turned to leave, but Flynn immediately broke into a violent coughing fit. "Flynn, what's wrong? Are you okay?" she asked, rushing back to his side. He looked up at her, his face pale and weak.
Ass.
"I'm sorry I'm holding you back from your work, but my head, it's killing me. The doctor said it's a side effect of the trauma. I can't be alone right now." He looked at her with pleading eyes.
Can't you?
"Can't you assign Cole's case to one of your colleagues?" Cassidy hesitated for a moment, then nodded. I watched it all, a detached calm settling over me. It didn't matter. I was already dead. I didn't need justice that night. After Flynn had fallen asleep, Cassidy slipped out and drove back to the crime scene. She swept the area with her flashlight. After a thorough search, she found it. The silver locket I had deliberately left behind. She picked it up, her brow furrowed, and thought it was the clue I had left for her. As the kidnappers were dragging me onto the helicopter, I had managed to bite through the chain and drop it. Locket was from a small shop near the old chapel in the South District. That chapel had since been torn down, and the entire area was now a desolate industrial wasteland. Demolition wasteland. The words sparked something in her mind. She understood. She immediately pulled out her phone. "Captain Reyes, I need a team. I want to request a grid search of the abandoned industrial park in the South District. Focus on any old churches or warehouses where they could hide someone." But just as she finished speaking, her phone rang again. It was a nurse from a hospital. "Officer Holt, Mr. Pierce is extremely agitated. As his emergency contact, you shouldn't have just left him here. You need to come back now." She wanted to keep searching, to follow the lead, but in the end, she got back in her car and drove to the hospital. In her heart, Lynn's safety had always come first. The moment she walked into his room, he threw himself into her arms, sobbing.
Cass.
"You have no idea. I had the most horrible nightmare. I reached for you, but you were gone. I was so scared. Please promise you won't leave me again." Guilt washed over her face.
I'm sorry, Flynn.
She said softly. "I promise I'll stay with you." She helped him back into bed.
Cass.
He asked, his voice hesitant. "Where did you go?" "I went back to the scene," she admitted. "I was looking for clues. It's been more than 12 hours since the kidnappers took Cole, and they haven't made contact. I'm worried that—"
Oh.
"He'll be fine," Flynn interrupted.
Don't worry so much about him, Cass.
During the days we were held, Cole and the kidnappers, they got along surprisingly well. Cassidy looked stunned. "Got along? What do you mean?" Flynn shifted uncomfortably.
Well,
"Those guys were sickos, you know, capable of anything. And Cole, to get them on his side, he offered himself to them. He even tried to convince me to do the same. But I refused. That's why they kept beating me." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I never imagined Flynn could be so monstrous. "After we were taken, they gave us 1 bowl of watery porridge a day. I always gave half of mine to him, trying to protect the timid man I thought he was. And I had never, ever done what he claimed. But Cassidy believed him, her hands clenched into fists. "Why would he do that?" she muttered, her voice tight with anger. "Cole, did you have so little faith in me? Did you really not believe I would get you out?" It was useless. I should have known. Cassidy had never trusted me. Not even once. The next morning, the police received a new message from the kidnappers. It was written as if it were from me. "Cassidy, why are the kidnappers $10 million? I've negotiated a deal with them. As soon as they get the money, they'll let me go.
Cass.
I'm waiting for you to save me." She was torn again. If she paid the ransom, it would set a dangerous precedent for future cases. But if she didn't, my life was on the line. As she wrestled with the decision, a video call came in from Flynn. The moment she answered, his frantic sobs filled the air. Cass, it's horrible. My apartment. It's been robbed.
Break-in?
She asked immediately. Did they force the door? Did security see anything? I thought your building was secure.
No.
Flynn cried. They knew my keypad code. It had to be Cole. Remember that time you came over for dinner, and he showed up? He must have seen the code. Then, he must have given it to the kidnappers to save his own skin. My savings, my gold. It's all gone. That was the last straw. All of Cassidy's hesitation vanished, replaced by cold fury. She replied to my message. Cole, are you insane? Do you have any idea what being a hostage means? Your job is to wait for rescue, not to cut your own deals by sacrificing others. I am not sending that money. It would only make things worse. Then she turned her attention back to Flynn. Flynn? Hey, I'm on my way. Don't go inside until I get there. As she was speeding toward Flynn's apartment, a call came in from her. Captain Cassidy. Captain Reyes said, his voice urgent. We found a male body in a warehouse in the South District. The face is. It's unrecognizable. You need to get down here. We think it might be. The drive to the South District was a blur of red and blue lights cutting through the heavy rain. I sat in the passenger seat of Cassidy's cruiser, invisible, weightless, a ghost haunting the woman who had let me die. She drove with a white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel. Her jaw was set, that familiar mask of professional detachment locked in place. But I knew her. I saw the tremor in her lower eyelid. She was trying to convince herself that the body wasn't mine. She was telling herself that Cole, the traitor, the coward who sold out Flynn, was hiding somewhere with the ransom money. But when she pulled up to the yellow tape surrounding the dilapidated warehouse, the reality began to seep in. Captain Reyes met her at the entrance. He looked sick. Reyes had seen everything, cartel hits, horrific accidents, but he wouldn't meet Cassidy's eyes. Cass, Reyes said, his voice low. You shouldn't go in there. Let the coroner handle the ID. I need to see, she said, her voice brittle. I need to know if it's him. She ducked under the tape. I drifted behind her, floating over the muddy ground. The warehouse smelled of rust, standing water, and the metallic tang of blood. They had set up portable lights around a chair bolted to the concrete floor. Or rather, what was left of a chair. The body was slumped forward, held up only by the ropes that bit into the wrists and ankles. The white cloth the leader had draped over my head was now soaked through a heavy crimson hood. Cassidy stopped 10 feet away. Her breath hitched. The clothes, she whispered. My shirt, or the rags of it, was patterned in a specific plaid. The one she had bought me for our anniversary 2 years ago. Take off the hood, she ordered. Cassidy, don't, Reyes warned, stepping up behind her. The hammer blow, there's not much face left to recognize. Do it, she screamed, her composure shattering. The medical examiner hesitated, then reached out with gloved hands and peeled back the sodden cloth. I watched Cassidy's soul break. It wasn't just the final blow. It was the hours of work that preceded it. My face was a ruin, yes, but what stood out were the tears, the bruises, the absolute devastation of a human body. But more than that, it was my hands. His hands, Cassidy choked out. She took a stumbling step forward. My fingers were twisted at unnatural angles. The nails were gone. The skin was shredded. Flynn said. Her voice was trembling, a horrific dissonance rising in her mind. Flynn said he cooperated. Flynn said he and the kidnappers got along. That he offered himself to them. She reached out, her fingers hovering over my mangled hand. Does this look like a man who cooperated, Captain? She asked, her voice rising to a shriek. Does this look like a man who was friends with them? Reyes looked at the ground. It looks like he fought, Cass. The defensive wounds on his forearms, the way his muscles are locked up. He fought until he couldn't move. I looked at my own corpse, then at Cassidy. Now you see, I thought, feeling nothing but a cold, hollow pity. Now you see the truth written in my blood. She fell to her knees in the grime. The smell of the warehouse, the mold and decay, filled her lungs. She vomited, her body rejecting the reality, rejecting the lies she had fed herself to justify saving Flynn. The days following the discovery of my body were a fugue state for Cassidy. I watched her move through our house like a sleepwalker. Sunny, our daughter, sensed the shift. She stopped asking for daddy and started clinging to Cassidy's leg, silent and wide-eyed. But the silence didn't last. Flynn pierced it. Cassidy was in the kitchen, staring at a cup of cold coffee, when Flynn called. She put it on speaker. Cass? Babe? I saw the news. Flynn's voice was frantic, but underneath the panic, I heard the greed. Is it true? Did they find him? They found him, Cassidy said. Her voice was flat. Dead. Oh God. That's terrible, Flynn said, pausing for a beat too long. Did they find, Did they find any bags? Or the gold from my apartment? Did he have it on him? Cassidy blinked. The air in the kitchen seemed to drop 10 degrees. He didn't have your gold, Flynn. He didn't have anything. He was tied to a chair and beaten to death. Right, of course. Poor Cole. Flynn rushed to correct himself. It's just, if he gave it to the kidnappers, maybe the police can track it? I mean, I need to rebuild, Cass. After what he did to me. What he did to you, Cassidy repeated. Yeah. The code. The betrayal. Flynn's voice grew shrill. He nearly got me killed, Cass. He was practically laughing with them while I was bleeding. Cassidy looked at her hand. She was holding the autopsy report she had stolen from the precinct. Specifically, the toxicology screen. Subject: Cole Holt.
Stomach contents, empionbile.
Signs of severe dehydration, 3+ days. She flipped the page. Subject: Flynn Pierce. Hospital admission records. Stomach contents: traces of porridge, high hydration levels. Flynn, she said softly. You said you shared your food with him. You said you gave him half your ration. I did. I swear. Then why was he starving to death while you were well fed? Silence on the other end. Then a nervous laugh. Cass, honey, you're stressed. The trauma, maybe I misremembered. Maybe he refused to eat? Yeah. Out of guilt. He felt guilty for setting me up. Cassidy hung up the phone. She stood there for a long time. Then, she walked to the hallway closet, grabbed her coat, and left the house. She didn't go to the station. She went to Flynn's apartment building. I sat in the back seat. Good, I whispered. Go look. She bypassed the elevator and went to the security office. She flashed her badge. The guard, a young kid terrified of the legendary Cassidy Holt, let her access the logs. I need to see the entry logs for the night of the kidnapping, she said. And the night of the break-in. She scrolled through the digital records. Break-in reported, 10:42 p.m. Keypad entry, 10:40 p.m. Code used, user 1 Flynn Pierce. She froze. Is there any record of a forced entry? She asked the guard. Or a different code? No, ma'am. The guard shook his head. System says Mr. Pierce's personal code was used. And the cameras? Well, Mr. Pierce asked us to disable the hallway feed that morning. Said he was having a lady over and wanted privacy. Cassidy's face went pale. He disabled the cameras? Yes, ma'am. Same day he was taken. She thanked the guard and walked out. She didn't get in her car immediately. She stood on the sidewalk, the city noise washing over her. Flynn hadn't been robbed. He had staged it. He had entered his own apartment, taken his valuables, and then claimed Cole gave up the code.
Why?
To frame a dead man. To make sure that even if I survived, I would be a pariah. To ensure she never looked back at me. He played me, she whispered to the damp air. He played me for a fool. The final nail in Flynn's coffin didn't come from a deduction. It came from the mud. 2 days later, Captain Reyes called Cassidy into his office. He looked grim. On his desk sat a plastic evidence bag containing a smashed, muddy smartphone. Tech boys managed to pull the memory chip, Reyes said. It was buried in the mud outside the warehouse. We think one of the kidnappers dropped it during the extraction, or maybe tossed it. What's on it? Cassidy asked. Video, Reyes said. And audio. He turned the monitor around. Cassidy watched. I watched with her, forced to relive my final hours. The video was shaky. It showed the warehouse interior. It showed me, tied to the floor, already bleeding. And it showed Flynn. Flynn wasn't tied up. He was sitting on a crate, holding a bottle of water. The kidnapper's voice came from behind the camera. So, pretty boy, which one do we cut first? On the screen, Flynn took a sip of water. He looked down at me with pure, unadulterated contempt. Cut his fingers, Flynn said. His voice was steady. He's a pianist. He plays for his daughter. That'll hurt him the most. Cassidy made a sound like a wounded animal. She clapped a hand over her mouth, her eyes wide, staring at the screen in horror. Please, the video Cole begged, his voice a broken, raspy whisper. Flynn, why? Because she chose me. Flynn screamed on the video, his face twisting into a demonic sneer. She always chooses me. You're just the placeholder, Cole. You're the boring, safe husband she settled for. But I'm the one she loves. And once you're gone, and I'm the survivor, she'll never leave my side again. Flynn turned to the camera. Do it. Make him scream. I want to hear him beg. The video cut to static. The office was silent. Reyes was staring at his hands. Cassidy was shaking so violently, her chair rattled against the floor. He told them to. She couldn't finish the sentence. He orchestrated the torture, Reyes said softly. We found records of a gambling debt, Cass. Massive. 7 figures. Flynn knew these guys. He didn't just get kidnapped. He offered them a trade. He gives them the cop's husband, high-value target, and they wipe his debt. He was never in danger. The rope on the roof? It was rigged. He knew he was safe. Cassidy stood up. Her movements were robotic, but her eyes were burning with a fire I had never seen before. It wasn't the cold professionalism of Officer Holt. It was the ancient, terrifying rage of a mother and a wife who realized she had murdered her family for a monster. "Where is he?" she asked. "Cass, you can't. Where is he?" "He's at the hospital," Reyes said. "Discharged today. He's waiting for you to pick him up." Cassidy turned and walked out. She didn't run. She walked with the heavy, inevitable tread of an executioner. I sat next to her in the car. The silence was heavy, suffocating. She didn't cry. She was past tears. She checked her service weapon. She checked her backup piece. She pulled up to the hospital curb. Flynn was standing there, looking pitiful in a wheelchair he didn't need, holding a bouquet of flowers. When he saw the cruiser, he beamed. He hopped out of the chair, forgetting his trauma, and jogged to the car.
Cass.
"Babe." He threw his arms around her as she stepped out. "I missed you. Is it done? Did you bury him?" Cassidy didn't hug him back. She stood like a statue. "Get in," she said. "Where are we going? Dinner?" "To celebrate my release." "We're going to the place where it started," she said. Flynn blinked. The rooftop?" "Cass, I can't go back there." "The P."
Get in.
The tone of her voice brooked no argument. Flynn froze, sensing the predator in front of him. He got in. The drive was silent. Flynn tried to make small talk, tried to complain about the hospital food, tried to spin more lies about how much he missed me. Cassidy said nothing. They arrived at the skyscraper. The police tape was still fluttering in the wind. "Cass, seriously, you're scaring me," Flynn said as they took the service elevator up. "Why are we here?" The doors opened to the roof. The wind howled, whipping Cassidy's hair around her face. It was the same spot. The same abyss.
She walked to the edge.
"Come here, Flynn."
No.
"No way." He backed up. Cassidy drew her gun. She didn't point it at him. She just held it at her side.
"I saw the video," she said.
The words were snatched by the wind, but Flynn heard them. His face went slack. The color drained out of him so fast he looked like a corpse. "Video," he squeaked. "What video?" "Those perverts deep-faked something, didn't they?" "Cass, you know technology these days." "I saw you," she interrupted, her voice rising. "I saw you drinking water while he bled. I heard you tell them to break his fingers because he played piano for Sonny." She raised the gun. "You told them to torture the father of my child." Flynn fell to his knees.
"Cass, wait. Listen."
"They forced me. They had a gun to my head off camera. I had to say it. And the robbery?" She stepped closer. "The keypad code? Did they force you to rob yourself too?" Flynn scrambled backward, crab-walking across the gravel roof. I needed the money. To pay them off. To save us. To save you," she screamed.
"It was always about you."
"In my last life, you let me die of guilt. And in this one, you made me a murderer?" Flynn froze. "Last life?
What are you talking about?"
You're crazy." "Maybe," Cassidy said. She holstered her gun. Flynn's eyes darted to the weapon. He saw an opening. He was bigger than her, and he thought she was emotionally compromised. He lunged. "You bitch," he screamed, diving for her. "You think you can judge me? You chose me. You always chose me." He tackled her. They hit the gravel hard. Flynn was clawing at her throat, his face twisted into the ugly mask I had seen in the warehouse. "I'll kill you too," he shrieked. "I'll say you went crazy with grief. I'll be the victim again." I watched, powerless. I wanted to scream, to grab him, to pull him off her. But Cassidy didn't need me to save her. Not this time.
She didn't panic.
She brought her knee up, slamming it into his groin. As he doubled over, she rolled, reversing their positions. She pinned him down, her forearm crushing his windpipe. "You're right," she hissed into his ear. "I did choose you. And that is the greatest sin of my life." She grabbed him by the collar and dragged him toward the edge.
No.
"No.
Cass."
I love you," Flynn wailed, his heels digging into the gravel. "Think about Sonny. She needs a father figure." "She had a father," Cassidy said, her eyes streaming with tears now. "And you helped butcher him." She hauled him to the very lip of the roof. The 18 stories of empty air yawned below. "Please," Flynn sobbed. "I don't want to die." Cassidy looked down at him. For a second, I thought she would throw him over. I thought she would let the darkness take her completely. But then she stopped. She looked over her shoulder. She looked right at where I was standing, invisible in the wind. "I won't be like you," she whispered. She slammed Flynn's head into the concrete coping. He went limp. She stood up, breathing hard. She handcuffed his unconscious body to the railing. "Captain Reyes," she said into her radio. "Suspect is in custody. Send the team up." I stayed with her for the trial. It was swift. The video evidence was damning. Flynn turned on his accomplices to try and get a plea deal, but the DA, a friend of mine, showed no mercy. Flynn was sentenced to life without parole. He was put in general population. Word got out that he was a cop killer and a child torturer. He wouldn't last a year. But justice didn't fix the hole in the world. A month later, Cassidy visited my grave. It was a beautiful spot under an oak tree. Sonny was there, holding a small toy piano. "Daddy's sleeping," Sonny whispered, placing the piano on the grass. Cassidy knelt down. She looked older. The lines around her eyes were deep. She had quit SWAT. She was working a desk job now, something safe, so she could be home every night for Sonny. "I'm sorry," she said to the headstone. "I know sorry isn't enough. I know I can't fix it." She touched the cold marble. "I remember," she whispered. "I started having dreams, memories, of the other life, the poison,
The cake.
I remember what I did to you." She began to weep, low, racking sobs that shook her shoulders. "I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve her," she looked at Sonny. "But I promised you. In the ambulance, I promised I would come back for you. I was too late. So now, I have to live for her. I have to be the parent you would have been." I stood there, the wind passing through my form. I felt the tether loosening. The anger, the betrayal, the burning need for justice, it was fading. Flynn was gone. Sonny was safe. Cassidy was broken. But she was rebuilding, forging herself into something better, something harder, but truer. She had finally learned the lesson. She had finally let go of the illusion and seen the reality. I stepped forward and placed a hand on Sonny's head. She giggled and looked up, as if she felt a warm breeze. Then I looked at Cassidy. "I forgive you," I thought. "Not for you, but for me, so I can rest." "Goodbye, Cole," Cassidy whispered, as if she heard me. The world began to turn white at the edges. The pain of the torture, the heartbreak of the rooftop, the sound of Flynn's lies, it all dissolved into silence. I didn't look back. I let the current take me. The nightmare was over. I was finally, truly, going home.